Hey, this is Danny with Amigo the Devil, and you're watching Heavy Consequence on Consequence of Sound.
We're here at Sonic Temple, and the weather's starting to kick in, but Amigo got to play his set, and he got the acoustic circle pits going on
Acoustic
early.
pits.
That was pretty awesome.
Two of them.
Yeah, that was pretty darn awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool that you're, basically playing folk music, but you're attracting this kind of hard rock and metal crowd. And can you just talk about that dynamic a bit?
I feel like it, for me, I'm really happy and I feel lucky for it because it's what I listen to. I listen to heavy music anyway at home, so I'd rather be at, festivals like this that I get to see bands I love too. But I think the whole thing started because when I started this project, the only people in music that I knew were people in hardcore bands or grind bands or thrash bands. And so when I wanted to play shows, I really didn't have any other resources to reach out to. So I reached out to them, and some of them were creative enough to go, okay, we'll try it. And they'd throw us on a couple shows. And then from there, I think the people at those shows were, besides being open-minded, I think that when they saw this acoustic or just a banjo at this hardcore show, they were either confused enough to stay and figure it out or curious enough to give it a chance. And really grateful for that.
Cool. And here at Consequence of Sound, we got to premiere one of your songs, Everyone Gets Left Behind, which is a great song, one of my favorite tracks of last year. And you had Brad Wilk from Rage Against the Machine playing drums on it, which is pretty darn cool.
That was so crazy.
Can you just talk about that song and, just kind of the song lyrically and Brad's involvement as well?
So that song was kind of the ugly duckling of the record in terms of, it doesn't sonically match a lot of the other elements. And it was mostly a low point that I had during the writing process where I really started kind of giving up, not so much giving up entirely, but giving up, hope at that moment that I'd be able to finish this thing or get the songs that I'm happy with. And I started thinking about how easy things were when we were young, and just messing up was so much fun. Like, it was so much fun. And I didn't want to overcomplicate it. I didn't want anything else to happen. So I ended up writing these verses, this little simple chorus. It was mostly verbal vomit, just like blah. And then when we got to the studio, it just came to life with Brad on it and all that, and it was just a lot of fun to record. We recorded it live together.
Awesome.
So we were just looking at each other, and I was like, oh my God, you're Brad Wilk. And he's like, I think I'm playing it right.
Well, I had Tom Morello here on Friday, and I was thinking the same thing.
What a
oh
dream.
my God, I'm talking to Tom Morello.
It felt so wrong because he kept asking me, he's like, well, what do you want me to do for this part? And I was like, sir, I don't tell you what to do ever. And he was so kind. He was really kind and very very understanding of everything, and just he was there to help.
Cool. One of my other favorite songs is Cocaine and Abel. You did that today. Love to hear more about that one as well.
That one was definitely the most personal song I've ever written, but at the same rate, I didn't realize how hard it was going to be the first few times, I'd say, to play it live. And the first few times I played it live, I struggled with getting through the whole thing because I guess the whole record was kind of written on the basis of being as honest as possible. And I thought when I started playing Cocaine and Abel live that it was just going to swallow me whole, but after a few times I realized that it feels really, really good to continuously remind yourself of burdens you leave behind and overpowering, whatever is holding you, whatever anchor you have, just having the strength to pull it up.
And you seem to have this fondness for the macabre, if you will, like whether it be singing about serial killers or suicide notes, and as you said on stage today, you sing about death, dying, and love.
Yeah.
And where does that come from, really, that kind of embracing of the like, kind of the things that maybe some people don't want to talk about in life.
Well, the fact that they don't want to talk about it is where I get off on trying to find a common ground between their reality and the reality that they want to ignore. Because one of the easy examples is the song "The Recluse" on one of the older EPs, where the story itself was written with Ed Gein in mind, the story of Ed Gein, kind of as a rough draft. It's not really what the song is about because there's texture to it, but the reality in the end, the song is simply about being envious and being unhappy with yourself and wishing that you were in someone else's place. And I get a lot of people that do come up and they say, oh, I would normally be put off by this sort of blah, 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 but this lyric made sense to me. And that's the goal of this project for me, is to try to make these terrible things make sense, I guess. I'm not saying I'm succeeding. I'm saying that's what I'm trying to do.
Well, I think you are succeeding. I think you really won over a crowd today.
Thank you.
It's pretty cool when you go to a festival and, probably a lot of people are hearing you for the first time and just kind of see that reaction. And speaking of winning over crowds, you're going to be on a very eclectic bill. And when I saw this lineup, it was actually a surprise. Dropkick Murphys, Clutch, Hatebreed, and Amigo the Devil.
Yep.
And I was like, did they just kind of spin a wheel and start pointing at names? Yeah, but it kind of makes sense actually when you think about it. Really, just kind of some cool artists. All obviously there's this kind of link of this in this heavy world of music, and just talk about kind of being on that bill and just some of those bands.
I mean, there are three very important bands.
Yeah.
So when they offered us that tour, my first thought was obviously yes. I was like, yeah, just say, absolutely, take it. My second thought was, are we going to get ripped to shreds? Like, are they going to destroy us on this tour? And I think that when you look at the history of the three bands, their fans aren't so linear as maybe some other bands would be. And I think that they are all very, very diverse fans, but fans that love music as a thing itself. So hopefully we fit somewhere in the wheel well that they want to exist within. But it's one of those things that I love doing, that it's going to be a challenge, because we are quieter than everyone, and everyone's there to have fun and get rowdy. And so yeah, there's a little bit of hesitation on my end of how I'm going to pull this off. But we'll have fun doing it either way, and I hope you all like it.